Today we're talking about how to make 2K a day in wholesaling. And what I really love about this, instead of just saying, hey, you can make 60K in a month, let's show you how you can earn 2K a day. And I've actually done this exact formula for you, and we are going to break it down. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. So the first thing you got to understand is we're talking about reverse speed wholesaling. So if you look over my shoulder here, that's how fast I need you to go in wholesaling. Because if you think you're just going to drive by at 2 to 3 miles an hour, you're kidding. You have to punch that gas, meaning you actually have to take the action and do the steps, because you are not going to get home and have a motivated seller sitting in your driveway. You and only you have to go out and get them. So the best one we do, we talk about reverse speed wholesaling. And we're basically going to flip this process around and turn it on its backside and do it backwards. So this technique I'm teaching you today is all about speed. So if you're a speed junkie and hey, Rick, I need to get a deal now. I need a deal instantly. And you don't have the 60, 90, or 180 days to wait that a lot of us take to do it. It took me some time to do my first deal. This is the method I'm going to teach you, and here's how it goes. So we're talking about speed. I need you to go 458 miles an hour. Now, listen, I'm not going to say it's not sustainable, but I'm going to teach you how to systematize it after this so you can get regular, steady leads. And understand this. This is for someone that wants to run and get a deal right away, or maybe you've been in stuck mode for the last 90 days and you can't get a deal. So what this does is it accents the speed of a transaction. So what we do is reverse engineer it. So if you're going to reverse engineer a wholesale deal, here's the order you need to do it in, okay? The first thing you got to do is you got to find the buyer. Why? Because the buyer is actually your customer. So many of you think that the seller is the customer. The seller is actually the product. The cash buyer is the customer. So if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. Now, a lot of you were taught for the last, 10 years, don't worry about the cash buyer. It's a terrible, although you mentally could basically operate that way. The problem now is if you operate that way, it is completely 100% caught up with you. So go back to finding your cash buyers. How do we do that? So here's the formula. Before I break it down, we're going to find the buyer. You're going to find the area where other wholesalers are having success, and then you're going to start marketing. You have to do it in this order. If you want to do speed, you have to do the cash buyer first. End of story. And if you go, oh, Rick, I don't want to do the cash buyer, then don't do this method because it's not going to work. You have to have the cash buyer, because once you have it, you're able to go with speed. Why? Because you are going to cut the transaction time in half, if not by 80%, by doing this technique. So once we're going to go with this speed technique, and it is speed. I repeat to you, speed. Like the movie Speed, this goes fast. If you do the cash buyer last, this method won't work. So I need you to understand that, and you need to grasp that concept. So we're going to attack every possible motivated seller lead in a tiny, tiny little radius of where those cash buyers you have already are. You see, if you already have the cash buyer and you vetted them and they're willing, able, and ready to buy, and they have a wet appetite to buy a wholesale deal, then you've already figured out almost half the transaction. So here's the key is, a lot of you miss this, is you know exactly what they'll pay you for that product. So if you know what they're going to pay you for product, it's actually going to help you when you do your negotiations, especially for those that are brand new. So the real question is, how do we find the cash buyers? This is in my opinion, it's the easiest part. So the first one is just cold call the cash sales. How do I get the cash sales? Go online. You can go on public record in your county sites. You can go on PropStream. You can go on Batch, ListRIA.com. The list goes on and on. The data is all there. And that's an easy one to do. The second one, call for rents. People that have for rent signs, especially that are handwritten, are typically the landlord's cell phone number. It's gold. You don't have to skip trace it. It's ready, and they are a wealth of information, and you definitely want to follow on that. So guys, if you want to hop on the one-on-ones, jump on, because I am almost full. So hop on there, and stands in line first, just so you guys know. So I love people do stuff quick, man, especially when it's free. You can't get hurt here. You know that old trick, the first 3 people that sign up, I'm going to give a special bonus. I can't stand that. The other one is, guys, you guys often overlook, and I made a killing on my the beginning of my career wholesaling, is I went to Realtors and got the cash buyer. I know what you're thinking, like, well, aren't I going to make less with a cash buyer through a realtor? No, you actually make more. Why? Because they've already vetted them. They typically put a higher price. And here's the secret is the realtor will push their commission and fees onto their end buyer in most cases, especially if you set it up front and it's all negotiable. And they really cut your transaction time. A lot of deals I sell, the realtors will look at it for their cash buyers, and they've already built that trust. They've spent 6 months, if not years, excuse me, with their cash buyer, and you can piggyback on that relationship, but you got to reward them for it. They don't work for free. Neither should you. Auctions, another dynamite spot. Every town has a local auctioneer. They're typically family business, has been around a long time. 50 to 100 years, a great spot for seasoned cash buyers. It's also, you're going to find those realtors with cash buyers. They love to show up to these things, and the smart realtors will pick off a few deals and do it from there. Guys, one you guys often overlook for cash buyers is title company. And I'm telling you, man, title companies are gold. They know everybody in town who has cash and who's actually really doing deals. You can't walk in cold to a title company and give me all your cash buyers, but once you form a relationship and you're giving them business, they're more than happy to volunteer this information for you. In fact, half my cash buyers come from title companies alone. But I got to be honest, in the beginning, I never asked because I didn't know. So by doing this, by finding the cash buyer first, you got to understand the process eliminates the time that most wholesalers waste in dispo. Most of you guys put a property under contract. You have no idea if you got the right price. A lot of you don't use the go for no method. I get it. You didn't go through the freewholesaling.com course yet. And you throw a price out there. You're so excited. You got the contract. You tell everybody in the world. And then you start calling 2 or 3, usually 1 or 2 cash buyers, and reality sets in. And you just figured you probably overpaid for the property. And now you have this long transaction that's going to drag on well past your 15, 30, or 45-day inspection period. And this is what I'm talking about. If you can take that transaction time and cut it by half, if not 3/4, that's what we're talking about, the name of the game in speed. But you can only do this if you find your cash buyer first. And if you come to me and go, hey, Rick, I tried this method. I go, well, did you get your cash buyers first? No, I'm going to do that at the end. You're not using this technique. It doesn't work. So some of the disadvantages, you misses out on like potential deals. The advantage, let's talk about that. It's just zero excuses. Either you do it or you don't. There is no if, ands, or but. So if you want to do the speed method and somebody connects with me this Thursday when I'm doing the lives with Zach, and you go, hey, I tried the speed method, but I have a deal and I can't sell it. I already know what the answer is. You definitely didn't talk to your cash buyer. So it's either you do this method or you don't. And that's why I like it. It's very dry. It's very to the point. Your margins are going to be thinner. I'll be brutally honest with you, but you get that speed to deal faster than anything else. And honestly, if you're looking to pay your rent, make your car payment, take your girl out, and you're on a deadline, this is, in my opinion, one of the only options that you need to get a deal in under 30 days or less. So the next thing is, now that we've established the cash buyers, the next thing is, hey, Rick, how am I going to market and do this? And now you're just going to attack your list and your channels for marketing. So your list is basically your prospects. These are anyone that potentially could sell you a house at a discounted price. So we start with a list. Then we take that list and then we apply a marketing channel to attack it. So remember, we're doing this on a very, very fixed cost. So if we're going to do that, you need to find every government list in that zip that your cash buyers that you're targeting. Now, remember, it's a very, very narrow radius and it might overflow to some other stuff. Guys, these government lists are the secret to getting highly motivated sellers and moving with speed. Because remember, if I have a cash buyer that's going to pay me a fair price for it, and I know the target range are going to do it, I already know where the price should lie. The only thing left to find out is the seller motivated and what is the true rehab or the ARV minus rehab on this property. Now, what I want you to add is the reverse driving for dollars and just plain old driving for dollars to them, because they work. Why? Because it's specific to a zip code. You can go block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, and it works. I will tell you, reverse driving for dollars is probably the most often underutilized lead generation, because everybody wants to sell you this super sexy piece of software. Well, I come from old school, man. An old school guy gets in his car, goes finds an ugly house, tracks down the owner, and tries to work a deal with them. And then when you get a deal, it's really easy to sell. I can't tell you how many times I've got a list of 10,000 people and I drive by 5 ugly houses every day. I go, no, that's probably under contract. There's no good. And I wind up getting on that list. I spend thousands of dollars between the list, the skip tracing, the cold calling, the mailing. And I could have just gone and either knocked on the door or use this option, a reverse driving for dollars sticky note. It would have had the exact same effect. And honestly, if I didn't have the money to do it, which back then I didn't, this is the method I would have done. Now, I door knocked back then. That's what I did today with the advent of Ring doorbells, it's a little bit more challenging. And I advise against doing that. So, okay, I'm moving on, guys. I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can and actually teach you a lesson. And then we're going to jump on the lives because we're not quite full, but we're just about there. Now, do I need to mention this one anymore? I didn't put it up. I was actually just on Wholesaling Houses for Real. If you guys get a chance, go out there and check out. If you're not a member of that, join it right now. I have a gentleman by the name of Jason. He's going to show me proof. So I'm going to give him time to do it. But he applied the probate strategy. He did it. He just took my information, but he's the one who gets credit for doing it. Went out. He's doing his first deal. Now, this is not an expectation, guys, but this is what I'm telling you, the potential for deals out there. Always do probates. They're slow. There's not a ton of leads. And over a year's time, if you apply yourself, I promise you, it will usually work out. I can't guarantee it, but it increases your odds exponentially. Now, I'm not sure it's Jason's first deal. Hopefully, I'm going to get him on Thursday. He's doing a deal via assignment on a probate for $72K. Why? Because he tried. He didn't try, he did it. And he just followed through and did exactly what I told him to do. And honestly, the hard part in wholesaling is committing your heart to the process of what you're doing, because your body, which is your unconscious mind, is telling you, hey, you're in unfamiliar territory. It's very uncomfortable. Let's go find something familiar. Let's go bitch to our family. Let's go complain to our friends. Let's go shoot pool. Let's go drink a beer. And people like Jason take this risk and they think it's risk, and it's not. Risk is sitting in your old self, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. 72K. How many people on this stream would that change your life dramatically? And here's the cool part. Jason didn't pay me 10 grand. I just said, Jason, go out and do it. I believe in you. And if Jason wants to partner up on the deal, he had that option, but Jason decided to take it on his own. And I'm proud of him for doing that, because I want everybody to win. I'm not here to suck all the money out of your wallet. You guys want to partner up on a deal with me through sellmypaper.com? Knock yourself out. I'll help you out. But if you have a truly motivated seller and an easy deal and you can harvest all the money, take it. I love that strategy. So probates, remember, the person who lasts the longest in probates always wins. The person does it for 30 or 90 days. You might as well just never even start it. Water shutoffs. I don't need to go in detail. You just go to your utilities. You ask for a list of properties that they've shut off the water. Why? Because when the water shut off, there is usually gold there in it. Code violations. These are people who usually, so we look for ones with high grass, tarps on the roof, deferred maintenance, just plain ugly properties. And you go through your county or your city to get that list. Pre-foreclosures, you're going to get at your local courthouse. Pretty straightforward. And then tax delinquencies, a golden one. And here's the key with tax delinquencies. You only pull it once a year, guys. If you can fight and get this list once a year, which is a public record, you got to get through their privacy policy. And remember, to overcome resistance, you have to beat it with resistance. I'm sorry, to overcome resistance, you have to use persistence. And persistence is the ability to get back up no matter how many times somebody knocks you down. Tell me if you can relate. It's the truth. And then evictions, which come out on a weekly basis at your local county courthouse steps. If you catch a tired landlord in the heat of a moment on a bad eviction, that is the best time to get them to sell. I've been doing this 20 years. Evictions are probably one of my top type of deals I take over. Why? Who likes a bad tenant? Most people get into real estate and they think it's a stock. I'm going to buy a property for $200,000. They're going to pay me $2,000 a month, and I'm just going to sit back and the property will be worth 400 in 5-10 years and it'll be good. Here's the reality of it. The tenants stop paying. They have no cash flow. They have to hire a lawyer to evict them. They trash the house. And then sometimes the market goes slightly backwards and they wind up losing $50,000 or $60,000. And they go, listen, just take it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And then people like you and me, we look at the opportunity that we can do it. And that's how we get great deals. So a lot of people get into real estate that never belong there, and this is the place to find them. Arrest records, I've gone into detail on this one. Listen, people get arrested that own homes that go away for 2, 3, 5 years. Typically, it's hard to get someone to take care of their house. They need the money anyways, and there's a lot of drama in these lists, but man, is there a lot of money. I'm telling you, I found this out about 8-9 years ago, and I did it and it worked. Now, it's not the funnest list in the world, but once again, if you're looking for speed to get a deal done in 30 days, you've got to find the most highly motivated seller leads you can humanly possibly find. This is why I'm giving you this list. I could point you to a piece of software and stuff like that, and don't get me wrong, it'll still work, but you will not get the speed. We are substituting some money for speed. Why? You need to get your rent paid. You need to get somebody paid off. You need money for your family. You need grocery money. This is the way to go. And then the last one is liens. You can pull this up publicly, or you could use listrei.com and easily pull that stuff up. But guys, if you truly want to do this, you've got to understand that you have to flip the strategy backward. And a lot of people call this reverse wholesaling. Honestly, this has been around a long time. I'd like to tell you I invented it. I didn't. I love when people say they invented it. This has been around since the 50s, guys. This is nothing new to me, you, or anyone else. And remember, you got to find the buyer first. You got to locate and home in on a small radius area, and then you just start marketing. It is in the reverse order. Now, the plus sides on it, you can get a deal done. Honestly, you can get a deal done in as little as a week if you got the right buyer, and you get paid right away. The downside is the spread's not going to be as big. But when you're starting out, sometimes you just need a few wins to make stuff work.